the field, catch a television. God sending at your time, yeah, song with. We up on fleek. Gotta stay on my hustle, gotta keep elevating. Got the racks stacked up, yeah, I'm hella cake. Tell me what you saying, yeah, I get that.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for the first episode of The People's Choice. I'm your host, Alvin Peoples. This is my show. Very thankful for everybody who's tuning in. Today's interview will be with Coach Russell Stone, legendary Coach Russell Stone. A lot of people may know him, and a lot of people may not. For the first-time viewers, Coach Stone has been in coaching for over 40 years. He is literally have been all around the Carolinas. He's sent over 300 kids to college. He's gotten over 200 or almost over 277 wins. It's amazing. I mean, amazing just to be able to spend 2 hours with him, talking with him, pick his brain a little bit, hearing the stories. Just truly amazing. I'm very thankful that he gave me the time to interview him. Thank you to his daughter as well for hooking us up with this interview, making sure we had a good communication through Zoom. That's where this interview was recorded. Coach Stone has been coached as head coach at South Robeson, Lumberton, Purcell, Swett, Douglas Byrd, Fayetteville Christian Academy. He's on the staff of Northern Guildford in that 15-1 championship season they've had. He's been to West Forsyth. He's been many other places. And so even some things that I didn't even know about that I did my research on and talked to him about. He's coached. He was a guest coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL. He's done some work for the CFL and scouting. He's done some work for the arena football as a coach, offensive coordinator. I mean, this man is truly amazing. His philosophy, his quotes, and he's answered every single last mailbag question that you guys have sent in. Thank you again for everyone who has participated in that as well. It truly means a lot, really going to help out the show. This show is for the people, and I want to give power back to the people, and that's for future episodes as well, that every question that you guys send in to me at the People's Choice podcast24@gmail.com will be asked by me to our guests, or if you have questions for me, I'll answer them as well. I hope you guys enjoy this this episode with Coach Russell Stone. I want to give a big shout out to everyone who has supported me through Facebook, Instagram, all over social media, who have shared or talked about this post. People who have been very excited for me. I want to thank you. I want to give a shout out to my boy Ziggy for giving me a nice fresh haircut yesterday. If you're in the Fayetteville area, you need to go check him out. Follow him on social media. Zig Speaks Facts. Dude is amazing with his cuts, and he'll continue to grow more and more. Also, we want to give a big shout out to a guy who's been supporting me for a while, my boy Dom, his Rise and Shine movement. Mr. Rise and Shine, you can follow him on Instagram. I find him on Facebook. They have some of the coolest apparel. Also, he's a personal trainer as well. He's an amazing friend of mine. Literally everyone. I don't want to go into this big, keep naming people because you guys want to enjoy the show. But just thank you guys, all of you guys, for sharing and being a part of this journey. I mean, this is amazing. So I hope you guys truly enjoy this interview with Coach Russell Stone, the legend, Coach Russell Stone.
Hey, Alvin, how are you, man?
Coach, how are you doing? It's so good to see you.
Oh, well, you know, it's nice to be seen. My teeth are getting long. I'm a little. How you feeling, man? How's the family? Everybody good down there?
Yes, sir. Everyone's doing pretty good. You know, just starting up this show. I'm very thankful that you agreed to do this interview. I mean, it's really truly an honor.
Well, I feel the same way, man, that you'd think of me that way. It's all that honor and respect are two-way streets, my man. And if I didn't feel that way, I wouldn't be sitting here. You're doing good things for kids. I'm all about my whole goal in life is every kid deserves a chance. And you help with that a great deal. And I mean, that's what it's all about. What you're doing will create more interest and more focus. And then kids will want to play, and before they know it, they've got a dang education.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking of that, actually, from my research I've been doing on you, that you've sent over 300 kids to college. That is amazing. Like, there hasn't been many coaches, at least that I know of, that have done that. Like, that is amazing, coach, and I'm super proud of you.
Well, I've always worked hard at it and get my kids exposed and trying to get them out there early. And then I try to be their biggest advocate. And then part of it is I've been around a long time, and they know I'm going to tell them pretty much the truth about a kid. And then honestly, Alvin, I coached at West Forsyth for 14 years, and there are kids that got scholarships there that wouldn't have started for us at Byrd. And that's just the way it is. College recruiters see from 95 East as the death land. You know, nobody's got academics down there. No need in going, stuff like that. So Byrd was the toughest place, but you know, we had good luck sending kids out. We had the CIAA Defensive Player of the Year at Winston-Salem State. All 3 years they finished second in the country. Yes, the first one was Alton Keaton. He was there before I got there. But as soon as I got there and met him, I put him in the car and took him up there. And I'd Coach Blunt's son. And then you know, Malcolm Rowe went, and he was just a hell of a player. And then Donnie Williams, when he busted up at Coastal Carolina, he went and played at Winston-Salem State. So There's a 1995 team that all 22 of those guys signed somewhere. Yep. And the only game we lost, we missed an extra point in overtime against Anson. And so now, if you ever see me at the end of the game, you can just bet I'm going for 2.
I understand that, especially the way the game is changing now. It seems like the best bet is to go for 2 nowadays than just playing it safe, going for 1.
Yeah. Play a deal. Well, Hickory has been a challenge because we don't have many big kids. So for my first 3 years here, we've pretty much gone into a lot of games knowing we pretty much had to score every possession to really have a shot. And we have some, but this will be the first year where we've got enough size to keep our linebackers clean. So I think our program here is going to turn the corner this year. And, you know, we've got a budding All-American player here, and you really need those superstars to get your program some interest. And, you know, every time they come to watch Alvin Peoples play, who's the superstar, they're going to see Russell Stone over there trying to do his thing. And, you know, it created opportunity for me. And and the other thing is the richest man in town's got 7 grandsons. 3 of them are playing for me now, and 4 more are coming. He owns the Crawdads baseball team in the stadium here. I don't know. I've hit the right place at the right time here. We're going to be able to completely redo the stadium and the school in the next couple of years. So,
amen, Coach.
You know,
amen.
Well, God sent me on a very, very weird path since they ran me out of Fayetteville. So I'm glad to finally see what he had in mind.
If it was up to me, Coach, I wish you could stay in Fayetteville, but I know you're going to do great things in Hickory, just as great as you've done for Fayetteville.
Honestly, Coach, they didn't give me a choice. And that's just the way it is. I had gone part-time as a teacher, and that made me vulnerable. And, you know, the funny thing though, Alvin, is I'd had a hip replaced, and the dang thing got infected. And I was in the hospital with a staph infection, and that's when they fired me.
That is the worst.
Yeah. But after that, I worked. I went to the coaching clinic and looked pitiful. So Johnny Roscoe took me to Northern Guildford, and we won a state title. And then I met Joe Glass, and I worked at J.M. Robinson, and I was OC. And so I got there August 1st. I mean, it was bang, here you go. So first game of the season, we beat Central Cabarrus 48-0. And I'm coming down to the sideline, and everybody's crying. I said, what the heck is going on? And they said, we haven't won a game in 3 years. I said, it's a heck of a time to be telling me. But we enjoyed, you know, so I had fun with that. And then Village, I got a chance to go there. And honestly, private school ball, 37 kids, 2 teams, 3-hour bus rides everywhere. That really wasn't for me. So I was really thankful when Hickory called me and offered me this job. So, you know, the superintendent had known me from West Forsyth. So all I can tell you is everybody out there, keep doing your best and people will notice. You might not think they do, but people will notice. So just keep hitting it.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that at that stop that you had at Village. They said that you turned that program around, brought them to their first state championship. They went, I believe they finished, was it 6-6, if I'm not mistaken, and you took them to the championship. Yeah. And what is the biggest difference? I know you just touched on a little bit, but from a private school to a public school of like coaching and preparation, everything that goes with that.
It's night and day. It's night and day. The private school thing is more about just giving kids an opportunity to play. I mean, when you've got varsity kids in the 7th grade playing against 18-year-old seniors, you know, that's the private school experience. The thing that wore me down was we play Statesville Christian on Thursday night and drive up here to play. And then Friday, they drive all the way to Fayetteville and we'd play there. And it was like that every week. But we were 2 games under 500 coming out of the regular season. But I told one of my coaches, we're going to go to state championship game. And they said, how? And I said, tune in next week. So I had Emory Simmons, Day, and, you know, I let Rodney have him his last 2 years. But for the next 3 weeks, instead of him getting a few passes, I snapped it to him. We handed it to him. We threw it to him. We wildcatted to him. We did everything, and he got his touches up to about 28 a game. And so a couple of teams had beaten us by 3 touchdowns, and we took them out. We had to go to Concord to play, and then we had to play in Raleigh, and those were kind of fun. Now, the best thing about private school ball is you win 3 games, you're a state title winner, you know. It's a little tough. It's a little longer road in football, but that's the main difference. You know, the private Christian school, Village, you know, there'll be 250 kids from K through 12. I mean, it's just a different world. Now, if you go up to Charlotte and you get to Latin and Providence Day and those schools that have between 12 and 1,500 privates, that's a heck of a private school league. But other than that, the private school guys aren't as strong. They aren't as big. You might see 2 or 3 great players on the night. And sometimes you might not see any. But I'm a public school advocate. I think the strength of our society lies in our public schools, and I went to Village because it was the only way I could be a head coach again and try to get back into it. So, you know, I really wanted to do this again. So we went there and tried it, and like I said, we were rolling along, and Dr. Robbie Adale, who's the superintendent here, called me, and he said, I want you to come talk to us about the job. And I said, just tell me when. And he said, Tuesday. So I rolled on up here and we talked to him. And about 2 weeks later, we had the job. We'd been approved and we went to work in April. I did my thing. I lived at Trips for a month and drove back and forth to school till I could get my family moved. And we've been doing that since Byrd let us go. I've been going to place and coaching, and then my wife would join me. So we moved 4 times in 5 years to get me here. So I've got tremendous family support, and you know Micah and Trip. We're almost joined at the hip, and Trip's coaching at Butler now. And what nobody knows in Fayetteville is our little Micah is playing prep at Juray Prep. What? He's long snapper and playing linebacker. And so to defray the cost, I had to kick in a check, but Trip's coaching because they aren't going through this year. So he's coaching Juray Prep right now until Butler gets started. The head coach at Juray Prep is a guy named Ryan Williams, and I gave him his first job at Byrd when he was a student at Fayetteville State. So, you know, Alvin, I'm so old. Most people know who I am. I've been in this for 42 years, and I love it. I enjoy it. I like talking to folks like we're doing now. I've never really Had a great time teaching school. I'll be honest with you. That's why when people ask me what I do for a living, I tell them I coach. Well, don't you teach also? I said, yeah, but I only teach so I can coach and make a living. I said, school right now is for teachers. Good Lord, it's the worst it's been in my lifetime. I mean, just so much thrown on top of them and so much expected, and no new money coming in. And then they did this funny thing where they took a longevity bonus. This is after I retired. They took the longevity bonus, which was 1% of your pay, and you got it once a year. Well, they said, there's no more longevity, but here's your raise, and it was the same money. Now, man, tell me what's going on in Fayetteville. But getting back, private school, public school, I'd only send my child to private school if they had a special need. Other than that, like I said, I really believe we should all be in public schools, and we should have the quality of public schools that they have everywhere. And, I think we're judged on how we treat the least among us. I really am proud that my kids usually love me enough to play hard for me. And that's my secret to success is my kids and I'll tell people they'll play hard. How do you know? I said, they always have. They'll play hard for me. I said, we coach it, we demand it, we ask of it, but we never insult a young man. We're going to keep that. We're going to keep that into a separate place. I always tell them, look, and I'll tell mom and dad, I'll treat them like a man until they prove to me they can't handle it. And then I'll treat them like a kid, and we'll do that silly stuff. But I'd rather not. I want young men, you coming through, you saw me come through. I want young men to be leaders in the community and be good fathers. And those are the things people say, what do you talk about when you don't talk about football? That's it right there. Being a good community member and being a good father. And my kids from the South Rob days, 79 and 80, they're still getting in contact with me. And God's been good to me. I just about remember all of them's names. I mean, it's a little bit nuts. And I'll probably end up not knowing what anybody's doing when I get a little older. But right now, I'm blessed to remember almost everyone. So I enjoy talking to them and learning about them and seeing what they're doing in the community. And, you get a chance to see with the stuff that I did, it works. So if God's going to give you the strength, keep going. If God's going to give you the health, keep going. If somebody's crazy enough to give you another job, keep going. So this is me. I really enjoy it. And I know you do too. I love the game and I love the interaction with the kids. So that kind of sums me up in a nutshell.
You're a great nutshell. I promise. I remember playing for you. And I mean, I thought I knew about football. But when I got to you and that coaching staff, you guys literally took my football IQ to the next level. I used to drive my family crazy because I would look at what we watching like NFL or something, and I would just look at the formation and it's like, oh, that's a run. Oh yeah, that's going to be it. You're like, how do you know? Oh, Coach Tom. And or it's going to the right side or it's going to – I mean, you guys broke it down for me. I mean, I'm forever grateful. Coach Tripp as well on the defensive side. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of you guys.
Well, that's an honor, and Tripp is a great coach in his own right. And he's coached at Mallard Creek for 4 years and set a state championship record for fewest yards given up. And I almost had him over here last year. It didn't quite work out. I got his son. Micah played for me his senior year. And that's why he fell in love with football again. He had played at Mallard Creek and he was snapping. But the quality of player there, he couldn't get on the field at another position. Mm-hmm. So he came over here, and we're building a program, and we're about 1,000 kids, and he fell in love with the game again, and so now he wants to play college football, and he's going through Juray Prep, and it's great to see. It's just really great. But talking about our offensive philosophy, what we did when we got to Byrd, we kind of started it at Swett, but I had so many good players at Byrd and they'd love to play. So we would go out and play 11 on 11 all the time. starting in March. It's whenever it was legal. We'd get to it in June. They were there every day, dedicated kids, unbelievable. Everybody told me they're Byrd kids. They're sorry. They ain't going to do this. They ain't going to do that. They were with me every dang day until the season was over, starting March 17th. And so those kids really took to us and dove in, and they were just dang tired of losing. You know, it had been a great program, and they were tired of losing. So, you know, that thing. But getting back to it, I give Tripp the best lineman to play defense. Mm-hmm. So Curtis Clanton and I would take the other guys and play, you know, we'd make an O-line out of them. And they were big, but they weren't very mobile. Mm-hmm. So 3 years before Cam Newton started this stuff, I was reading the guy, and if he didn't come, I was pulling it and throwing it. So that's how we got to where we were. We actually give the quarterback the option. You can hand it to him, or you can pull it and throw this route. And we've developed it now. That was the in man on line of scrimmage. Now we've developed it where we've got one to read the outside linebacker and the safety. So we're really cheating a little bit because, you know, defensively, if you play Mike linebacker and you see a double team and a kick out, they've been telling you since the beginning of time, you got to go meet that thing. Yep. Well, if you come up and meet it, I'm going to pull it out of his belly and throw it over your head. So that's what we're trying to do. And we did it because our O-line got smaller the longer we were at Byrd. And then the first 3 years we ran it at Byrd, nobody could understand it. You know, we scored 40 points in the first half 12 times in 3 years. And I'm not talking about Southern Lee. You know, we did that to Southview in the first game of the season. Yeah. And
that's actually one of the questions on one of the mailbag questions we have. I'll get to that a little later.
Sure. Yeah, Coach Ledford told me he was tired of losing to me with his players. He'd have players and he'd run the rest of them off, and I'd say, "Hey, let's see what you can do. Come on." So, how can I help you now?
Coach, you've been around for over 40 years of coaching. I have a list of some of the stops that you've been, and you know, it's going to jar your memory a little bit, but you know, if you wanted to speak about some of these,
sure.
You got Lumberton, your time in Lumberton. Can you speak on that?
Well, Lumberton's my only failure. I got to go to Lumberton, and I was coming from South Robeson. Honestly, the way I got the Lumberton job is they wanted my wife to be the lead soprano singer at the Presbyterian Church. So I came along with the deal. I wasn't quite ready for that one. We were 5'5", we were 5'5", and then we were 2-8. And they invited me to leave. But I left the next coach 64 players that had varsity experience. When I left West Forsyth, the last team I ever put on the field there in a playoff game, we dressed 75 kids. So then I went over to Swett, and after a couple of years, they wanted Coach Howell back. And, you know, I left him a team that was, God knows, I'd started them all as sophomores, and he took them and was very successful with them. But the Lumberton job is my only failure as a coach, in my opinion. I didn't get it done there. It's a difficult job. Lumberton was 900 children when I was there. Now it's about 3,000. And they asked me to leave the year before they consolidated. So we'd have all those kids, and those kids from Magnolia and Littlefield coming in, I had a relationship with, and I thought we would have done okay there. The only bad thing about the Lumberton job is when I left there, I went to West Forsyth. I took 3 grandchildren with me away from my mom and dad. So, you know, there's always pluses and minuses to every situation. But the deal with Lumberton is that head coaching experience there allowed me to get the West Forsyth job. So it really worked for me, and I enjoyed those children. I enjoyed those kids a lot. There was a school board member, and she was a principal then, but she really, from the word go, didn't really care for me a great deal. I was at Lumberton for 3 years. We had 3 superintendents and 4 principals. So that's what happened there. But I coached some really good players there, and And then we, you know, we're competing with Richmond and all those guys, and we've got 900 kids. And then I also only had a 5-man coaching staff. So they were putting a squeeze on me there, and that's the way it goes. You know when people are getting ready to make you go. So,
oh, yeah.
But the Lumberton job, I didn't do it there. And that's one thing that I regret. And when I went back to Robeson County and ended up at Swett, I called Lumberton and told them I'd come back. They were looking for a coach then too. But because of the lady I'm talking about, they went another way. And I go to Swett, and I said, it's 10 miles from my mom's house. We had to put my mom in a rest home. So Swett really served us nicely. And the big deal with Swett is if you want me, you've got to let this junior in college going to UNC Pembroke next year be my defense coordinator. So that's how Tripp got started, and that's how we were together there. But that was 10 minutes from my house there, and Lumberton's right down the road from where I grew up too. But Lumbo, they can spit on my picture. I'm in the field house. I'm real young and pretty now, but they got all the pictures lined up there. So last time we were there, I took people in there and I said, "This is what I looked like in 1988." But yeah, mailbag wise, Lumbo's got me. We did produce some really good players there though.
Yep. And then another school you touched on a little bit, Purcell Swett. Can you talk a little bit more about your time there?
When I got there, they were a running clock joke. They had a running clock 7 games a year before, and you know, West Forsyth wanted me to go somewhere else. I needed to go home and take care of my mom and dad's estate. My dad died in '96. So, you know, you always wonder why the good Lord puts you in places. So, but that's what happened to us at Swett. But I did the same thing there I've done everywhere else. The first thing I did is I tried to get a bunch of people to play. And I had an assistant superintendent say, "What are you trying to do?" And I said, "I want 100 on the field." And she said, "We had 56 in the program last year." I said, "Well, that didn't really make any difference to me." She said, "If you have 100 on that field, you call me." So on August the 2nd, I dialed up a assistant superintendent of Robeson County Schools, and I said, "Look, you need to drive by here about 5 o'clock. There's 102 out here." So we got that going. The quarterback hadn't played since the 6th grade, but I had 2 6'4" receivers. So we pretty much got by that year throwing jump balls to those 2 wide receivers. And
ain't nothing wrong with that.
We beat an undefeated 5th-ranked Southview team in overtime doing that, and it took them a long time to recover. That was the loss that I saw them go from a perennial state power now coming back to the rest of us. They never really recovered for that one. So, but Swett, we were 6-6, and then that last year there, we went to West Charlotte, and they scored with 2 seconds left, and they ended up going to the state title game. So we had done a lot with that team, and like I said, I was there 2 years, and then there was a Renaissance man principal there who wanted to bring back the past. So they really wanted Coach Howell to come coach. And honestly, sir, whenever anybody's told me they didn't want me in their school, I didn't fight it. I just started looking for another job. And so I said, "You don't want me here." So, okay. Well, 3 days later, Coach Paroli calls me. And he says, "I want you to come to Byrd tonight and interview." He said, "You know, Mike and I have gone to 71st, and I think you'd be great for the job." So Coach Paroli actually recommended me to that, and we went to Byrd. But if you're talking about pure fun, building that thing at Purcell Swett was just joy, because those people were so loose to losing and seeing non-competitive football that it was really in a frenzy. And we had a family there that's prominent that really was big in moving us down there and making sure I could handle coming financially. So we've been we've been lucky. The other thing that I do wherever I go is I run a little kid camp, and you know, I charge $30 if you don't have it. I don't care. Come on, bring your brother, bring your sister. And the relationship you can form with a 9, 10, or 11-year-old kid if they see a football coach out there watching them play, and I've never seen another high school coach out there with me when I watch them, they'll be a fan for life. So this is my 4th year here. I've been watching rec ball for 3 years, and they're here, and we're about to do some special stuff.
That's awesome. And actually, back when I was playing for you at Byrd in that 2012 year, that's really what got the ball rolling for me to start coaching, was when you made that camp where we brought the little kids out and we was coaching them, and they're hitting the pads and they're just loving it. And I was getting just the joy of just being on the field playing and making plays. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, teaching these young guys, something to do, it's blocking and passing and catching. I mean, I was having a blast. And then years later, I went on to join a coaching staff. Shout out to Coach Love. I know he's probably going to watch this later. He allowed me to join
he's a good friend.
Oh, yeah, great man. He allowed me to join his team. Yep. And we coached the Spartans together. It was fun. Yeah. I can't wait to go back to coaching, actually. I enjoy it. It's so fun.
When it gets in your blood, man, you can't hardly live without it.
That is true.
Yeah. I'd say the only challenge for young coaches in high school right now is financial. You just don't get paid very much. It's really funny. I graduated from the University of North Carolina in 1978. And those guys were giving me, my fraternity brothers, what are you going to do? You going to be a teacher? You know what they make? I said, well, I'm going to be a coach. Well, same thing. So I said, I'll figure something out. So the first 7 years I coached, I worked on my daddy's farm from the day I got out of school till we started school. So the first 3 weeks in August, I'd put in tobacco all day and then go have football practice at night in Roland. I'd pick up my son, who was 3 years old at the time, so I could see him. I had 7 kids that played for me that worked with me on my crew on Dad's farm. So, I've been a little unorthodox, but if not for the financial support of my family, I could have never done this and taken good care of my children. So, that's the downside to it. And really, that's just the problem with public education in North Carolina right now. They don't want to invest in it. They want to go charters. Really, what they want to do to me is resegregate. But that's a term that pisses a lot of people off. But I'm just telling you what I see.
Hey, open and honest. And actually, I'm glad you're touching on that, because I think a lot of people don't really understand the ins and outs of the school system and how these teachers aren't paid properly, and the crazy hours, and on top of that, the crazy kids. No offense to parents is going to watch.
Yeah,
not all your kids are crazy, but there is some out there.
They're kids. Kids are kids, and right now with this virtual stuff, man, I feel sorry for them. I mean, these kids, I see A through E Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I don't see them for 3 weeks. But we're having practice after school, so all my kids come in and we keep 10 or less in the weight room and do agilities with the other. So we have actually been doing things as a team since July the 8th. Awesome. And honestly, somebody said, what are you doing? And I said, everything we hated about football practice. I said, we can't even touch a ball the first month. And still, though, Alvin, I mean, we had kids just grateful to have something to do. They were just so glad to be out there and be around other kids and be coached and do those things. And, I hope we can climb out of this mess soon. It's getting to a point where they're not used to coming to school, It's like us being in college. Every now and then we get used to not going to class, I mean, daggum. So anyway, the other weird thing about kids in this COVID stuff, they want us to sign in at school, sign in for your time. So I found out last spring that I could get hold of my kids between midnight and 2 a.m. better than I could any time of the day. So I started signing in at 12:01. I'd keep my contacts.
That's what I'm talking about.
It worked for me. But, that's the way teenagers are. They're nocturnal. They have different sleep habits. They're not awake until about 9 or 10 in the morning. It's just the way it is. It's the way God made us. But anyway, What's next, man? We talked about Lumberton. That depressed me.
Well, let's bring it to a happier point. Douglas Byrd. When you took over, before you took over, was it true that they were on a 7-year losing streak, and you turned that program around?
We went to the state title game the second year.
Yep.
The first year, I saw them at Swett. We opened the season with them. So the first game I ever coached at Swett, we lost to them. Mm-hmm. And the next year we went to Byrd, and we went in there and beat their butt. Now, they had much more talent than we have. And Tripp and I walked off the field and just said, "Daggum, man, if we ever get to coach at a place like this," and darn if we didn't. But I don't know, Alvin, they'd lost their way. They, I don't, I can't explain that. Now, again, to my luck, I hired a couple of middle school coaches who had been over there volunteering. Lynn Muldrow was one of them, big member of the community, and Curtis Clanton. And why I did that was I love kids, and I can be really, really as good as any man possible can be to them, but I can't be a black role model. So I wanted men in my program where they could see a man that looks like them, goes to work, takes care of his family, comes to football, cares about his community. And so that's why I went out for people like that. Now, that Byrd staff, so few of them were on campus, actually, just Tripp and I. We never had a weight session or anything. They weren't all there with their kids. So, we had no excuse not to win there. And the talent was just unfreaking believable to me. We put them in different places. They said, "This guy is a offensive linebacker." I said, "Well, it looks like, offensive line." So he looks like a linebacker to us. So, he ended up being a really good linebacker. And the biggest thrill I had at Byrd, that first year we were there, we went over and we actually beat 71st. And my principal was just so ecstatic over that, because Mike and Bob had told the kids before they went to 71st, the talent's gone here. There's no more talent at Byrd, so we're going that way. And then, so when our kids played them, motivation was not a problem. But 71st is a great team, and Coach Feroli is one of my mentors in this business, and he's the reason I got to go to Byrd. Everybody always tried to pit us against each other when I was there. And I talked to him all the time. And, if he wanted his program back, I would have resigned and left, because I thought he had done that much at Douglas Byrd. He deserved that. But, he took over. He was like me. I didn't want to follow him, and he didn't want to follow me. So we each let a guy go in there and make a little bit of a mess before we got there. So, but anyway, Douglas Byrd, it was so gratifying. We had a food pantry there. We had everything set up to take care of our kids that couldn't take care of themselves. I had a group of people that were really into it. Campground Baptist Church especially helped me a great deal. And we created an atmosphere and a society at Byrd built around football, which I thought was lifting the whole place. And then we go 12-2 and lose in the third round, and daggum, they fire us. But we averaged 11 wins a year at Byrd. And the last year I was there, a guy named Kevin McCoy went to the Naval Academy. He just graduated last year.
Shout out to Kevin.
I just don't know what else. Several parents called me and they said, "Coach Stone, why did you leave Byrd?" And I said, "Well, they didn't want me there anymore." And the lady said, I asked them why they did that, and they told me they were going to make the program better. I said, "Well, my best wishes to them. I hope it goes." But, people forget when I left, Tripp left too, and we were 50-50 in all this. And he took care of me. I'm old. I can't do what I used to. I know those things. So I need good young assistants with me to help me take care of these kids. Right now with Tripp in Charlotte, I got my daughter working at Hickory High, and she's on the sideline with us. She's data manager over there. And I found out something working with Johnny Roscoe at Northern Guildford, that young black men who live with mothers and aren't used to fathers take criticism from their mothers better than they do from male figures. So if a kid gets in trouble here, for me to make him almost wet his pants, I just said, you got to go see Melissa. So she might keep him in detention hall, or she'll sit there and make them do an assignment. But it takes a lot of people to get this thing done, and it's never a one-man operation. But Coach Clanton, Coach Kuzan, Coach Monroe, and all those fellas that worked other jobs and came to help me at Byrd, they're the ones that really deserve so much credit. And I wish they had kept them around, because we had a presence in the community and we were representing the community. And, the Byrd community, that huge trailer park down there, Plantation, whatever, that we got some players out of there, and we're talking almost 1,000 trailers 2 feet from each other. And we wonder why these kids have a problem. Childhood poverty is at its worst rate in my lifetime, and that was before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, if somebody asks me my philosophy religiously or educationally, it is that every kid deserves a chance, and I'm going to do my best to give those kids a chance, no matter what it takes. And if they'll commit to me, I'll stay with them. And I'll stay with them. And if they get in trouble later and they go to court, I'll go with them there. I'll stay with them to the very end if they commit to us, and they know that. And I've always been about earning respect. I've never thought you go in and demand it. So all those things really worked for us at Byrd. I was the right man at the right time, and we put those things together. But honestly, in all honesty, some of us do it better than others. Some of us can do hard jobs better. Some of us are real at home in urban schools. Mm-hmm. Some of us struggle with suburban schools. I've been lucky. I've done them all. I've coached the richest and the poorest. And right now, my Hickory kids, 70% of them are honor roll children and very wealthy. The kids that really need to play, I'm having trouble reaching and getting out on the field, the ones that I could help the school with. So that's still a work in progress. But again, it's the same old formula. You get a couple of guys, you put them in college, and mama says, your boy's going to college? Well, yes, ma'am. Is he playing football? Well, yes, ma'am, he is. And it doesn't take much more for mamas, if their son's interested, to know that they've got a coach that's his goal, is to try to get him to the next level. Yes. So, it's not rocket science.
And one thing I cherish too, about the time at Byrd, besides just also the community work, was from you and the rest of the coaching staff, from Coach Clinton, Coach Tripp, Coach Kuzan. You guys were, when we brought our report cards, when it was time to show us the report card, some were dreading it. We would be lined up in the weight room, and you'd be sitting there right near the board, ready, and you was excited, just like we're making a play on the field, just to hand us a report card and say, "Good job, you got an A." Good job. Yeah. And that used to touch me, because I used to come from other schools where that wasn't really too much the priority. It was more about, let's win games. You guys develop men that just happen to play football, smart men, and I'm one of them. So now I want to always thank you, give you credit for helping me become the man I am. You love us like our own father, so thank you.
Yeah, I've got a tremendously large family, and I cherish each and every one of you. And I think you all know that I did my best for you.
Yes, sir.
And I think you all knew that if you needed somebody in your corner, I was there. And if something happened, I mean, we had some kids at Byrd, Alvin, we had to pay their light bill in the summer. I had a kid at home. He'd missed practice. We went by to check on him. He was alone with his 4-year-old sister. No lights. You know how dang hot it is in July in Fayetteville. Oof. And I said, "Where's your mother?" And he said, "Coach, I haven't seen her in 2 weeks." And that's what this lady would do. She'd disappear on them for weeks. She'd still go to her job, but, you know, she's still living like a teenager.
Mhm.
So, you know, so you might have come to Byrd and seen a bunch of little brothers and sisters running around over there. Because I just told him, I said, bring him with you. I said, we'll figure something out, but we want you to be part of it. But that was the biggest challenge at Byrd. But every place you've talked about so far, Lumberton, Purcell, Swett, and now Douglas Byrd, there were so many great relationships there, just unbelievable. And Lumberton is probably the group that I have contact me the least. You know, there's a couple there that I still in contact with, but all the other schools I've been to, you know, I'm excited every night because I'll get a call from somebody that played with you or somebody played at Swett, or they'll send me an instant messenger. And the first thing they always tell me, Junior Williams, Coach, I'm taking care of my kids.
Yes. I don't have any kids yet, but I have a baby niece, and I love her like she's my own. And
yeah,
you know, love just giving you guys credit for developing all of us into young men. I still keep in contact with some of the kids. Well, not kids. We're all adults now.
Yeah, yeah. I'm the only one who can call y'all kids.
Yeah, I know. Right?
My coach, I had my 50th birthday yesterday. I said, well, dang, one of us is getting old. my oldest graduating group is 52 this year. So, you know. Really? Well, I was a head coach at 24 at Roland High School. My high school coach had become the principal. Mm-hmm. He brought me in, and at 24, I was the head basketball, baseball, football coach, and athletic director. I got $400 supplement for the entire year. I had to buy the ice and the cups so they could have water at practice. And I'm so grateful for those kids because I know what they all did. They came out of the back of the field, and I'd practice at 8 o'clock at night so they could go and come to practice. And heck, I think at that time, 9 of them were bus drivers. So we practiced late. They could go run their bus route and get the car and come back. But, you know, we were out there, and those Robeson County kids gave me the opportunity to coach a man like you and to come here because, you know, they kind of made me a pretty successful coach before I was 27 years old. And I mean, the second year I ever worked at Roland, we were semifinalists in the state. And then in '86, I have this bunch of kids, and we work out for football every afternoon, even before baseball practice. Well, that baseball team won the state title, you know. That was 1986. And then I got the chance at Lumberton, and that gave me a chance to go to a 4A level. Mm-hmm. And it was all just an education for me. So, you know, you either keep learning or you need to quit. So I'm, you know, like you saw our offense and you say, that's innovative. That looks fun. I don't know what they're going to do. Man, you know, that's music to my ears. I mean, those are things for me that are just pure fun. And I love to compete. My favorite games are those games that are decided on the last play of the game. Oh, yes. And you know, I mean, those win or lose, they're just real competitive. And I always try to respect a man except for 2 hours a week. And those are on Friday night. And I might cuss at you under my breath, or I might tell you how much I hate you. Well, I'm trying to beat your back end. But when it's over, I'm going to meet you at midfield, and we're going to be friends again. And we're going to try to help grow the sport and help get more kids involved.
That's true. That is true. So, Coach, I was doing some more research on you. And I wanted you to touch upon these, because these are things I didn't even know about. But from some articles I read, it said that you spent some time as a guest coach in the NFL. Is that true?
2 summers. I got to be in the Pittsburgh Steelers training camp.
Woo-hoo.
I have a wonderful friend named Clayton Banner, and he was we were kind of football nomads. There was a while there in the 90s, I just wanted to find a job where I could coach football and make it. So he got me into scouting. So we scouted the Canadian Football League. We'd go to different NFL camps, and we would scout cuts and call the people in Canada and say, we think these kids are going to be coming out and not make the team. And so, yes, I was invited there 2 years in a row. There was a guy there from Winston-Salem that just by chance was the head of player personnel. His name was Charlie Robinson. And when he heard we were from Winston-Salem, he let us run. I mean, we just had the run of the place. So the next year I took my son and his best friend, and, you know, we're out there, we're on the field with them practicing, and they're down in the equipment room looking at shoes and shoulder pads. And then I watched the Steelers scrimmage. I don't know what year it was, but they had just lost their Super Bowl. Rod Woodson was still with them.
I think 95.
The big white tackle that went to Carolina after them was with them. And what was his name? Greg Lloyd was still with them. But anyway, yeah, I did that two years in a row for a week. And I got the kickoff return that I still use from there. And really what I learned there was how fast they practice without hurting each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the speed of the operation, which was so amazing. You know, all these athletes are obviously pros, but still just, I mean, it was breathtaking. It's things you can't get by watching a game at school or even in the stands. You know, you see that one special player outrun two all pros, and you said, dang, he must be pretty fast. But yeah, that was great. That was unbelievable. So I was at Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and I had dinner with the Rooneys, the team owner. I was in the coaches' meetings with them. And what I was going to tell you about that scrimmage is they go to Latrobe High School, mm-hmm. which is one of those old Pennsylvania places with the coal plant down there behind the goalpost, the coal mine. Mm-hmm. And they scrimmage there every year to finish it up. So the last 4 plays, they went goal line and they went live. And they got their starting players out there, and I was standing with them. And they'd thrown it the first 3 downs, and it was 4th and goal from the 1. And he tapped me on the shoulder, and I said, yes, sir. He said, I can't watch this. Tell me when this next play is run, when everybody gets up. I said, okay, Mr. Rooney, I'll let you know. So they went in there. And he turned us. He said, are they okay? And I said, yes, sir. They're all up. They're ready to go. He said, thank God. I hate that. They do this every year to me here. So, yeah, Barry Foster was their running back. If somebody of you remember him. And anyway, yeah, that was tremendous. And then coming out of that, I got a chance to coach arena football.
Yep, that was one of my next questions.
I was offensive coordinator for the Greensboro Prowlers for a year in pro football. And Clayton Banner, the same guy I told you about, had gotten the head job of the Prowlers. He passed away last year. Clayton did. And anyway, head job, and I found arena ball about getting to the ball quick and beating man coverages. Mm-hmm. And so that part, again, you saw the offense. You see our quarterbacks get the ball out of their hands, sometimes just bam like that.
Oh, yeah. And
that's kind of where we learned it. And, you know, you see things and some things just stick in your mind. And that was the pro thing was unbelievable. And then I coached pro arena ball, and that's like minor league baseball. We played a team in Birmingham, Alabama. We met Friday night after work. We drove to Birmingham all night. The players laid around in a hotel. We played Saturday. The game was over at 10, and you're pulling back into Greensboro at 9 a.m. the next morning. And that was Arena 2 football. So, yeah. So, you know, at the same time I had my children were little. Trip was in the 6th, 7th grade. And, you know, so I was giving up a lot of time in addition to being a high school coach. But I kept doing that until I left Winston-Salem. I tried to keep that iron in the fire. And the head scout for the Steelers, Phil, he'll call me occasionally, and he was just a laid-back, funny guy. They drafted a kid from A&T named Jermaine Stevens. It was their first-round draft pick in 1994. And I coached him at Lumberton. I coached him for 2 years. They had him there his senior year after they ran me off. But they called me and asked about him. So, you know, I told him about his stuff and the whole thing. And I told him that Jermaine he had a father who had come back from Vietnam. And you know, he was crazy. I went to pick him up one day to take him on a college visit to UNC. We're going to go watch UNC Duke play. And his daddy's out there with a machete. This is in Lumberton. And the Vietnam War messed up a lot of our people, man. And I asked him where his son was, and he made some derogatory term about him. And so, you know, Tripp and I just went, and I told the coaches, I said, I can't find him today. I said, but we're here. Where are my tickets? But awesome. Anyway, I got into that. And then the next year when I go back, Jermaine's second year, he does nothing in the off season. No. He comes back out there to play his second year in the NFL, and they gave him his physical test, and he passed out. And I saw Bill Cower go over to him and say, if he wakes up, he's cut. And so for the next 2 years, he played for the Bengals.
Oh man, that is awesome. These are great stories I've never even knew of, and I'm glad you're sharing them with me, Coach. And to all the others, to the viewers that's going to see this is amazing.
Well, like I told you, I don't know if I have a good memory or a great imagination. The verdict's out on that. But honestly, Alvin, I like for people to have a good time and enjoy their experience when I'm with them. And my dad was like that, and we just enjoy seeing people happy and enjoying their life. And you know that thing is when you have a father that teaches you those things and instills them into you, and then you're working on the farm besides 3 kids your age, and y'all are all doing the same thing, except those 3 kids had to go home to a daggum shack, and I got to go to my house and take a shower and sleep in an air-conditioned bed. So the realities of life really struck me at a very young age, and it stuck with me. I just want to see every kid have a chance to succeed, and that's it. I don't care where they're from, how poor they are, how rich they are, and you got to know they're going to screw up. They're going to make mistakes, and that's when you will be tested. Have you got the desire and the guts to pull them out of this and to face the public relations that are going to be mad because you're trying to save this kid? And you go do it anyway, and 2 weeks later the kid completely takes a crap right in your face, and he didn't make it, and so the next morning you start all over again because you don't want to give up on them, because we give up on them, they're gone. Society can't do anything with them. They're not going to be contributing members. I mean, you know, there's honestly, when it comes down to it, you and I as coaches will see and affect more people in 1 year than most people see and affect in a lifetime. And that's the God's honest truth. You know that. Oh
yeah, that's true. Because I mean, I've nowhere near as much experience as you as coaching. I've coached for about 2 seasons, I think, with Coach Love. And sometimes I'll see some of them kids from recreation when I had them at 11 and 12 at like gas stations or Walmart or anywhere. And they're like, oh, Coach Peoples. And they're ready to give me a hug and just tell me how life is. And, you know, that really touches me. And I hope for all future coaches that may watch this, that's what it's really all about, is continuing to make impacts in these kids' lives.
Sure. Coach Love, I actually coached against him when he was playing in high school.
Awesome.
And there is a Cumberland County sheriff there named Hardin Brown that played at South Carolina, played baseball and football there. And he was at Red Springs at the same time. And he and a couple of his teammates, I get in touch with them about once a week. They want to know something about it. And, you know, those were people that I coached against in football and baseball. But you know, I had no idea that they felt like they had a relationship with me. And don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. I love it. I think those relationships make our life what it is. So anyway, I pull for all kids. I really want to see them do well. And if a man comes to me that's played me that year and I have a chance to help this kid go on to college or introduce him to somebody, I'm more than happy to do that. Again, this is a game we play, and it's a game that I think is a very important part of the educational process. It just teaches you so much. But we got to remember at the end of the day, it is a game, and we've got life that we go back to attend to. And, you know, it's just nice sometimes where a kid can get away from all the trouble, or a coach can get away from all the stuff. And with cell phones now, it's really hard. It was pretty cool when I used to get on the lawnmower and ride the grass and nobody could call me, you know. But I also like the modern, the 21st century aspect of we can always access our kids and find a way to help them.
Yes, sir.
You know, keep on helping. Be a steward. They might be 45 years old. They might ask you what to do about their kid. They might ask you what to do about whatever, and I'll share my experiences with them, and you know, we'll just talk about things. And it surprises me sometimes because I'd say 90% of them always tell me about something they wish they had done. Mm-hmm. I wish I'd listened to you more. I'd done this. I'd done that. And I just tell them, man, I'm 65 and I don't look back. I do my best in the moment, and then I try to put it away. And then I'll tell them straight up, I said, all these experiences you're talking about made you the man you are today. And, you know, so sometimes failure is the teacher for a man as he comes along. Sometimes the realization that you're not the most perfect person or the most perfect player in the world is what they need to see. And then you've got just as many that feel like they can't do a dang thing right. And if you go by and pat them on the back and tell them good job, shoot, man, they'll go through a wall for you. I mean, but you got to remember, Alvin, all these kids are different and they have to be coached slightly different. Yeah, we got to have team rules, but I don't coach two kids the same. I try to give each one their own little niche, so to speak. So, you know, that's just me though. You know, I learned this from my coach. And like I said, he hired me to coach 3 teams and be an athletic director when I was 24 years old. And then he got to be the principal at South Robeson. So I go from 1A to 2A after 2 years. And we got an 800 kid school there. They closed it last year. God almighty. Oh, I can't believe that. But when I was working and coaching at Roland and South Robeson, my family farm was right in the middle of the district. So that's home for me. And when I went back to Purcell Swett, that was home for me. I never felt like Lumberton was home, even though my family was close by and I lived there. That one just never, I don't know. That was a program that really had a problem getting along with each other at that time. And I hope they've gotten over it, but from what I see result-wise, they haven't.
So I'm gonna go and jog your memory a little bit here with this one, Coach.
Yeah, man.
This was quoted in an article back in 2002. It said that you took a close study and reevaluated your leadership as a coach, and that you changed from a power role to a more flexible role. So, what made you recognize that you needed to make a change?
We were losing some kids to the streets. Gang activity was eating up the place I was working, and it was really becoming a problem in society. And so I tried to figure out ways to introduce them to us and to bring them to us, and just to give them that chance to feel football and walk out in front of 5,000 people and, you know, give them a chance. And so that's why I did that. The other thing was I came to the understanding that if you want to throw a kid off the team, he won't care. He'll run around up in the stands and he'll talk junk about you and everything will be great. Same if you suspend a kid. If you want to teach him a lesson, you make him practice every dang day and do his makeup work, and then make him dress out on Friday night and stand right next to me for that entire game. That's what they care about. That's what makes an impression upon them. You know, everybody wants you to kick them off the team. Well, one of my early mentors was Homer Thompson, longtime coach at Winston-Salem Parkland, a school very much demographically like Byrd. And he told me, as a 25-year-old coach, he said, it's easy to kick kids off the team. Anybody can do that. He said, can you take that kid who's a problem and make him a productive member of what you're doing? and you can save his life. But, you know, and then by 2002, I started in 1979, things are beginning to change. And at West Forsyth, you know, we had 160 kids come out. So it wasn't a matter of not having numbers, but I just think every one of those 160, you know, I want football to be part of their life. I want them to love the game. If I don't do anything else, you know, make them love the game. And like you right now, you want to go coach it and watch it, talk to fools like me, you know, you love the game.
Yes, sir.
And with the love of the game comes respect of the game. And, you know, when I'd get those kids in by being more flexible, rarely did they leave. Mm-hmm. When you got them in and, you know, again, it all comes back to earning respect versus demanding it. So Tripp and I would make every effort to try to earn those kids respect. The other thing in 2002 is I'd had my first losing season at West Forsyth. So I reevaluated everything. I went and watched every athlete from Wake Forest, from field hockey to cheerleading and football and baseball and basketball in between. And the head strength coach there let me come in and be part of it, Coach Ethan Reeve. And so I watched all these athletes come through for a week. And so I changed my lifting from power to more flexibility and quickness, along with changing my philosophy in dealing with kids from being just an all power to a more flexible one. So it kind of permeated everything I was doing. But I literally changed everything in the year you're talking about. Right now, if you ask me how much a kid can bench, I might have an idea, but I really don't care. If you ask me a kid's 40 time, I can give you a best guesstimate, and they ran laser time at VTO. But, you know, if you want to go back to it, you ask Coach Love this one question. He had a kid named Ken McDowell who set a state record for triples. And he was just ungodly fast and a 2,500-yard back his senior year. A great player. Well, we played them over at Grays Creek, and we were playing for the conference title, and we had just scored with like 30 seconds to go ahead. And McDowell split our defense, and their quarterback hit him. And, I mean, it was him and a kid named Darius Moultrie. Moultrie, the fastest he ever got time in a 40 was 4.85. He started for us 4 years at Byrd and couldn't go on. Mm-hmm. McDowell, who my time for a Shrine Bowl combine was 4.4, and he didn't even know how to get down in a stance. He started standing up. Oh. Well, 15 yards before McDowell scores the winning touchdown, my 4.8 has run him down from 20 yards and tackled him. So why do you care what a clock says when you see a kid go out? How fast can you play? I've seen a bunch of fast athletes play football worth a nickel. I mean, how many track kids have they taken? You know, Ronaldo, we're going to make him a wide receiver. No, you're not. He never been hit in his life. I mean, that stuff so hurts. True. So anyway, so that 2002 year, you did jog my memory because I changed the way we were doing everything. And the next year, I was led in receiving by a tight end. I'd never done that before. And he went to Wofford, and we got in the playoffs with an 8-3 team. We beat Reynolds in the last game of the season to force a 3-way tie for first. The poor guy from South Rowan had been to Tabor, had to drive by West Forsyth, and West, Reynolds, and South Rowan were drawing numbers. And if you pulled number 3, this was before they expanded the playoffs, and they were 10-1, but their only one was the Reynolds. Mm-hmm. And we had just whipped their ass. You know, they were undefeated coming in, and we whipped their back in. And so we all go up there, and we're pulling out numbers out of the hat. So I pulled mine out. 1. Okay, I'm in pretty good shape here. And the poor guy from South Rowan had the best record of the 3 of us. Mm-hmm. And didn't get to go to the playoffs. He's got his kids sitting on a bus out there waiting, and he's got to go down there and tell them the season's over. Oof. And that's when they expanded the playoffs from 32 to 64. That was the thing that spurred it. And I'll tell you, Western North Carolina is so much more politically powerful than Eastern North Carolina. When things happen up here, you know, it was the center of industry and furniture, and now banking with Charlotte. You know, the city of Hickory is growing. I mean, it had a number of years was really shrinking, but it's kind of making a rebound up here this way.
Awesome.
You know, the people that have it the toughest are those old tobacco towns, Fairmont, Roland, all those places. You know, there's no more tobacco market, and there's hardly any town anymore. It's just it's not my hometown. I grew up 8 miles from anywhere. I was halfway between McDonald and Hogtown, and Raynham was the other way. So, you know, anybody who's been down 301 can tell you where those places are, but nobody else in the world will understand you. But I was from D.C. I was from deep country. I would, you know, I was a country kid, and I never got to go to the swimming pool. I never got to go to the beach because we were putting in tobacco. But at Christmas time, I kicked their butt, buddy. It's time for a car, Russell. Yes, it is.
Love it, man. I love it. Speaking of Hickory, you've always been extremely involved in the community, especially, you know, from your time in Byrd and other places. And I know we talked through Messenger that you was doing a car wash. What are the other community things that you're doing out there in Hickory right now for the people that don't know?
I've tried something new. I am a Ruritan, and so I joined my biggest booster asked me to start going with him, and I did. And I got to meet all the big wigs in the city, and we still do our camp here, but here I don't do it at Hickory High School. I do it in our poorest district, which is about 15 minutes away, and we're having trouble getting those kids to come out. So I went over to the community leaders and I just said, can I have a camp here? And, you know, they loved it. They said, nobody's ever asked us that. I said, well, I'm asking now. So we started doing that thing in Hickory too. And I have found that the most wonderful group of support here. It is a system. Hickory High School is the only high school in the system. So now when I have those problems like we had at Byrd of hunger or some type of need, the school board shows up here and helps me with them. I mean, I'd gotten the kid some food and taken care of him. I'd been to the food pantry. Again, the big boosters have that here, and they introduced me to that. And I turn around, and here's the head of the school board, and she walks in, and she's got a box with pork chops and meat in it, you know. And all I had to do was just say, this kid's hungry, he needs some help. And so the way I've gotten involved in Hickory has been a lot more of a personal level because, you know, the superintendent's name's on my contract here. I know whom I work for, and I know he's right down the hall. So I've always wanted to coach in a one system, one high school situation. Scotland's like that. Richmond's like that. You know, a number of schools down that way. But up here, this is a small 3A school that's its own system, and Hickory is the best and the worst. We've got some of the richest people in the world here, and we've got some poor hard luck folks too, and not much in between. But I have found a group of people that care, and if you'll let them know what needs to be done, they'll help people in need. And again, it gets back to Old Stone telling you, I think the good Lord judges us on how we treat the least among us. So that's my driving purpose here. And so things have been a little different getting involved here, more of a personal nature, but much more effective and much easier on me. I've had a lot more help here. You know, the Byrd folks, we had 3 or 4 people that were so good in helping us out. But most of that district feels disenfranchised, so the parents aren't going to come and be part of it. Again, that's been a different story here. My only thing here that I need that I really want to get done is there's still a little group of kids down there that I haven't been able to reach. And honestly, they don't even have a rec football program over there or baseball. All they do is play basketball. And so, you know, basketball is a great sport. I love to play it. It was my favorite sport to play in high school, the whole deal. But when it comes to coaching, football's where it's at for me. You know, again, my coach, I coached football, basketball, and baseball, so I've tasted them all. And that challenge of football where you scout me for a week and I scout you for a week and we watch everything on film and we go into a game we're, you know, ready to go, that's a pretty good chess match. That's what keeps me going, that along with sending kids to college. So.
Awesome, Coach. That is amazing. And I know you're going to change that in due time from them just mostly worrying about or only option really is basketball. You'll find a way to get them into that football program or be a part of it in some way, shape, or form, because I've seen you do it.
Honestly, we've already crossed that bridge here. The participation right now is off the chart. I could play you today with a varsity and a JV team because, like I said, that younger group coming up, I've been watching them, and there's 35 of them that they're freshmen. They're rabid about it. And so we're getting back to the point I was at Byrd. And at Byrd, I'd go in the gym, and everybody's shooting basketball, and I'd hold a football. I said, I'm going outside, and they'd come volley out there. Mm-hmm. Well, it took me 3 years to get it that way here, and we're finally there, so I don't want to go back. But just, you know, getting kids to love the game and give it a shot. I think it's the greatest game out there. I know you do too.
Definitely.
You know, it just teaches us so many of life's lessons. I mean, that's a big obstacle in front of me. Well, you better figure out how you're going to get around it or through it. You mm-hmm. know, football kids have to problem solve about 75 or 80 times a game. I mean, it's just a great way to have a young man come along and grow up. And it's tough and it's hard knocks. And Lord knows people getting hurt always bother you. But I've really noticed that kids that get in great shape and start playing when they're young, they don't get hurt. It's the kids that go out there and they don't feel comfortable on the field, you know, and they get rolled into. And that's how kids, you see it. Most injuries are not bam. It's somebody rolls into you, you know.
Yeah, it's the freak injuries.
So, you know, you got to get your team to learn to practice and stay on their feet. The kids at Byrd were great at it. We could go out there and have a game, and Micah would usually officiate.
Yes, he would.
He just graduated from college now, so that's kind of high school. That's hitting me hard, but it hits a lot of my boys from Byrd hard too. They say, "Mikey's what?" I said, "Micah graduated."
I remember, you know, being on the field and you get us ready to go under the chute, which was always my favorite. I never told you guys that, but it was my favorite. And Mikey will be around. He'd get that whistle blowing, or he'll get the ball with the stick and or jerking it, or Mikey, or we'll get the play and we'll think that it's on 2. But then Mikey will go around and probably tell one of us that it's on 1, and then someone jumps and oh, what's going on? Oh, Mikey told me it was on.
Yeah,
it's amazing
Brandon
seeing
Speed,
he's grown up.
Yeah, the best Mikey story, and I'd actually forgotten it. A guy that coached with me named Brandon Speed that lives up in Swansboro now. He said, "Coach, do you remember the first year you were there?" And Micah came by and said, "Give me the keys to the bus, Granddad." And so I handed it to him, and I looked at Brandon and I said, "Ain't no way he can start the bus." And about 30 seconds later, I hear, "Boom!" And I looked at Speece and I said, "Danged if he didn't." But actually, Alvin, Tripp grew up the same way with me. When Tripp graduated high school, he'd missed 2 of our practices in 1 game since he was 2 years old. So, wow. You know, that was a blessing too, being down there where I grew up around Roland. The administration loved having him around. The only deal was it was, you know, I'd take him to an away game, and we're at South Robeson, and the first thing he would do was find 4 or 5 guys and get a game started, football game, you know, just look. And we were at South Robeson. We had so much area between the bleachers and the bench. Mm-hmm. That he would get kids inside behind the bench back there playing at South Rob, and every now and then his game was better than the one I was watching, so I just turned around and watched him play. Anyway, we're a football family, and my wife is wonderful. She filmed games the first 7 years. In fact, she started disliking it when she quit filming and had to sit in the stands and listen to people talk junk about me. So I've got the daughter who's helping me now. If you started raising hell in the fans, she'd go challenge you. What are you talking about? You don't know anything about my daddy.
So for all y'all that heard that, y'all better run and think twice before you say something bad about Coach Stone.
yeah, that's right. Watch out. Man, I try to treat people with kindness, and you do too. And yes, I think that's pleasing to God, and that's the way I was brought up and taught. So I've stuck with it for 65 years. There's no reason to quit now.
Yes, that's true. So, Coach, and to touch more on a little bit on Hickory, there's so much buzz going around right now about your 4-star, 6'4", 215-pound sophomore Rico Walker, who, as of right now, from what I've heard and just saw, he's been offered now 5 scholarships. Yep. One from UNC Chapel Hill, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, Mississippi State, and NC State. And the kicker is he's only played 3 games on the varsity team.
Yeah. NC State offered him Thursday night. South Carolina was the first ones. But honestly, when they called me about a rising sophomore, I hit the phone a couple of times. What? But that's where recruiting is going now. Rico's father played at Auburn, so he's got, genetics are there and the size is there. As a freshman, you know how all big freshmen are. They're a little bit like baby deer, but he's grown through that. So as far as actually judging him as a football player, he's about to show everybody what he can do. Things that have happened right now have been because of his potential. We got his film out. I got him and his father to go to VTO after his 8th grade season.
Awesome.
And so we had him on the radar before he was a freshman here. And then, the good Lord made him 6'4", and he was going to grow some more. And, yeah. And he comes to me the other day and he says, Coach, I'm getting too fat. And I said, man, you need to gain 10 pounds. He said, no, I want to be a wide receiver. I can't get too big. And I said, Rico, man, just look around. Look at Calvin Johnson. But
it's true.
Honestly, now 3 of them have told him straight up they love him as a receiver. But I know one of those is lying to him. And the other 2, Mississippi State just flat told him, we want you to play outside linebacker, defensive end here. That's what we want you to be. And so, he's smart enough to see. In fact, he called me after the camp he was in. It was in Richmond, Virginia. And he said, Coach, I didn't have a real good day today on offense. He said, but tomorrow I'll be on defense. So, he goes through defensive drills for 10 minutes, and Mississippi State calls me and wants to offer him. They had somebody in there looking at him. And this is a deal about potential. And I tell people all the time that I'll take what I have. You know how I am. I'll work with you. I'll mold you. But the good Lord can build him better than I can. And in this case, he has intervened and given that man a lot of blessings. We have found out his academic issues that he has, and we're addressing them with tutoring. He's an AB student in every class but one. So, we're on our way. And it's been fun again. I haven't had one this highly recruited since 96 when I had Tikas Pettigrew. Was a player of the year from West Forsyth in football and basketball. So, the first thing his dad says to me is, he said, I don't want these people being jealous of Rico now. And I said, no, man, you look at this the wrong way. I said, I need this piece. This is the piece of the program that'll make everybody notice us. And they'll come watch again. They come watch Rico. They see the other kids playing too. I said, this is opportunity, man. And he felt better about that. So far, Rico's done a good job of being humble and handling the notice. He's very well spoken. A guy that lives in Fayetteville named Sammy Batten is one of the top recruiting analysts in the nation. And he's also Tripp's godfather, so that doesn't hurt me when I want kids recruited. You know, it honestly, it's about relationships. And so, you know, I like, if a parent's going to compare me to another coach, well, this is what we have done, and this is how we treat kids, and this is how many I've sent to college. And, you know, just look at this and talk to me for 20 minutes. And if you still don't want it, God bless you. I'll do all I can for you. But I think we're going to do as good a job for you as anybody could do with your young man as far as bringing him along. So I just need to win more games.
Oh, yeah. The sky's the limit for Rico.
I think it is here now.
Oh, yeah.
I think it is here now. So we're finally there. It's been a little different here, but Tripp told me I was not being demanding enough, and I told him I was just being patient, that I really enjoyed living here, and I was going to do this one without ruffling feathers. You know, I had to go into the jewelry shop at Byrd and start throwing rocks and breaking everything to make that happen. That was a tough one. That was a tough one. But again, it was so gratifying to see those kids who had just were embarrassed to play. You know, that people talk so much trash to them in school going through the day at Byrd. Y'all ain't shit. You know, we're supposed to be in the state title, this, and this, because of Byrd's tradition. And so when I went in there and started talking about what we were going to do, and I planned to win, man, I saw smiles break out all across the room. Same thing at Purcell Swett. I said, I'm not here to be mediocre. I'm here to be the best. And if you're not with me, it's best if you leave right now. We might not get there, but dadgummit, we're going to strive for that every day.
Yes.
So, you know.
That's so true, because when I was playing for you from day one, because I got to Douglas Byrd, it was in February. And from day one, you told me just from the weight room and all the conditioning, we're doing this for a championship. So you set the tone right then and there, and it's been on really ever since. Even to like my mentality when I was coaching recreation, I'm like, hey, we're doing this for a championship.
That's
right. So
if we're going to bother to play, we might as well try to win. And if we don't win, we're going to give it our absolute best. Definitely. So, you know, it goes back to Theodore Roosevelt. The man in the arena deserves all the credit. You know, just pull that up later and read it, and you'll see everything you and I are about. And what the game of football does for kids. Don't ever resign yourself to those cold gray souls that know not defeat or victory. Yes. You know, there's so many people that just don't. They're scared to experience and put themselves out there. And, for me, I just tell them, lay it on the line and do your best and have fun, and we'll figure out the results later. That if you give me that, I'm supposed to be able to figure out how you're gonna win. That part's on me. So. Here we go.
That touches me a lot, Coach, because that's honestly my mentality of really starting this podcast and starting this show, is because, I mean, you know, I'm starting off, but I feel that the guests that I'm going to have all have something to bring. They all have something to teach. And that's what I want to do, just bring an outreach to everybody, showing like, hey, I don't care if it's of a guest that I have, this guy who creates soda, or a football coach, or a computer tech, or a psychiatrist. I feel somebody can grab something from it, and, you know, everyone has an amazing story on their journey. Well, Coach, are you ready for the mailbag questions right now?
Yeah, man, hit it.
All right. So first one I got, this one is from Evan. So he told me that I'm really about to jog your memory, because he's talking about 82. He said, ask Coach about the talent level on the 82 class and how it compares to some of the other teams you've coached.
The talent level of that team is as good as any I've ever had. The situation we were in, Evan, I called him Evan, and half that crew, we were consolidated school, and Fair Grove's football program was not very good. In fact, they were awful. So we got to put those two teams together. Well, the year before, the Roland team, we'd gone to the semifinals in the state, and I had a lot of kids coming back. We'd had the first all-state player in the history of Robeson County. And so, you know, I knew we had a chance, and I got to recruit a couple of kids that were supposed to go to Pembroke and ended up with us, and were great players. But that team was unbelievable. Clay Lewis started at Lenore Ryan here for 4 years. Bear McCrae, who we talked about, played at Georgia State. Flint McCallum played football and basketball at East Carolina. I mean, it was freaking loaded, and as loaded as they've ever been. Their problem was probably I was a 27-year-old coach, and I probably should have done a little more with that talent, but they were in great shape. I didn't know much football then, so their practices were absolute hell, and I'd do everything with them. But Evan, that was a special team. He caught the first touchdown pass in the history of South Robeson High School. It's a 48-yard pass against Pembroke. And right now, Evan is a community leader over in the Fairmont, Fairgrove area. And he's got a daughter that was Miss Lumbee one year. But Evan's right on the nose. That was unbelievable talent and as good as it could be. You know, we were just so deep in the country, and we hadn't played a lot of football as a group. So we were kind of learning on the go, but just pure raw talent. He's right. They were unreal.
Awesome. I got another question. This one's from Braxton20. They said, what is your favorite trick play?
Oh my, I think the hook and ladder. The hook and ladder, Whiteville High School in 1986 comes to rolling, and they're number one in the state, and it's raining like a mother all day long. And it's the last time I saw my coach / principal. He had a heart attack later that night. I never saw him again. He said, "You want to play this game tonight?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I definitely do." Well, Whiteville rolled in, and they hadn't given up a touchdown all year. And it was the 9th game of the season. And so on the 3rd play of the game, I throw a hitch to the split end, and he pitches it to the tailback, and he goes down the field and scores. And, you know, I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm turning around, looking at my crowd, and they all walked out. I said, "What the heck?" They said, "Well, we were all betting on whether or not you scored. You scored, so we got our money now. We're leaving." But that's the one I've used over the years that's gotten me a lot of good stuff. But honestly, Alvin, things that people call trick plays are part of our offense. You know, we run a bunch of reverses and we RPO you to death. We don't have a called run that doesn't have a pass option off of it. So, you know, but my favorite is the hook and ladder, and it's served me well in some big times over the years. And that game we were talking about with Coach Love in Grays Creek, we hit it on them on the first drive of the game on about the 5th play. And I don't know. I've had people running against me too. I mean, so it's just a tough play to cover. Everybody's a cover 3 team, and that safety's buzzing, and now all of a sudden that tailback's got the ball 4 yards wider, and you might as well start getting the extra point team ready. So hit me another one.
All right, this one is from Jenny. She said, "What is your favorite quote?"
My favorite quote? What day is it?
The 26th. Saturday.
The favorite quote is it's a Vince Lombardi. The medal of a man is measured by his effort. It's not winning is not a sometimes thing, it's an all the time thing. You create winning habits. So winning is not a sometimes thing, it's an all the time thing. It's my favorite quote. And that doesn't always mean the scoreboard.
Yep. I like that. That was good right there. Shout out to Lombardi. Definitely.
Well, you know, man, he's got some good ones. Bear's real good. And but
Bear
Lord,
Bryant.
if you want to go to the king of dribble, you just check out Mac Brown. He'll send you some out every week, boy. He'll ship them to you.
That's what I'm talking about.
You'll tape them up all over the room. But that one threw me for a little bit. I didn't think about it.
I'll let Jenny know.
Some of the guys at Byrd would tell you my favorite quote deals with chicken excrement. So
one quote that I remember from you that stands out to me, and I still use it to this day. We just got finished working out in the bleachers and stuff, and I mean, you used to work us so hard, and I love it, and that really instilled the work ethic in me. But you said that stuck with me was respect all and fear none.
Yeah.
And I was
that's my team's favorite quote every year.
Mm-hmm.
And
that stuck with me.
That's where it all is right there. Mm-hmm. Respect all and fear none. In fact, you can scratch that other one out and give that to Jenny.
All right, I'll give one to her.
That's gosh almighty. I say that 50 times a year, man. I don't care how good you are. You're going to come here and play. We're going to try to beat you.
Uh-huh.
And Lord knows this team got beat by 60 last week. Well, they're showing up here tonight. That's their problem. It's not ours.
I got
respect all, fear none.
That's awesome, Coach. I got two questions. This one is from Marley Conley. I don't know if you remember him from Byrd.
Oh yeah, Marley's I made him an offensive tackle. He thought he was a tight end.
Yeah, I remember. Marley actually. Shout out to him and his mom, because I used to walk to practice all the time in those same trailer parks you were talking about before.
Yeah.
And Marley, one time, him and his mom would stop by and they'll see me like walking. And one day I was running because I was about to be late for practice. And you don't want to be late for Coach Stone's practice for all the Hickory kids that they probably already know why. Nothing up downs until he gets tired blowing the whistle.
Yeah.
But Marley, he went and his mom, they said, hey, you don't have to walk no more. Just come catch a ride with us. And they were great to me. And me and him still keep in contact. I saw him in person a few months ago, and he sent these two questions. One was, what is the biggest key into bringing teenagers from all different backgrounds together and becoming a championship team? That's his first question.
Earning respect and not demanding it. Proving to each young man that I care about them and what their goals are, and I want to help them reach them, and that in doing that, it'll make us successful. Marley is one of my favorites, a wonderful kid, and his mom is one of the most beautiful ladies I've ever seen in my life. She looks like she's about 17 right now. Carmen. And he's got a little brother coming up too. It's going to be great. But Marley thought he was a basketball player at first, and then he thought he was a tight end. And then his senior year, I started doing all the crazy stuff where we'd run one way and we'd run the tackle the other way to block for the screen. So we needed to give it to the running back or throw the screen. Mm-hmm. And when people saw Marley out running, they started recruiting him. Mm-hmm. The year after I left, his mom was one of the ones that was the most upset. But even at the end of that, Marley had gotten in something at Byrd, and they were really downgrading him. And he called me, and I said, "Where are you signing tomorrow?" And he said, "Coach, I was going to this school," and I just said, "Well, hang on, man." And so I made a couple of calls, and I said, "I don't know what the kid has done. I'm not there." I said, "But he's a great kid. He's from a good family, and he'll be a really good football player for you, and he'll be a good citizen." So he goes to Central and has a really good career there. And now, he's in and out of arena football. Mm-hmm. But that's pretty cool. Marley struggled to step with his left foot. So I tell everybody, I sent a guy to college to play O-line that couldn't step with his foot. He certainly learned that, but him and his family, that's great memories. Marley was he's a fun guy. I like, there's certain players that get my humor, and some of them it goes right by them. Marley understood it all, so we had a lot of good laughs.
Awesome.
And I know exactly where he lives. Before his mom started picking you up for 2 years, I'd been taking him home. So awesome. He's right over there. You'll smell the dog food plant and see the water tower.
Yeah. Well, you basically answered the second question. He asked how was it coaching him. But you already answered that, Coach. And I mean, Marley, shout out to you. Thank you for participating in the show. I have plenty of memories with Marley. He wasn't shy of calling you out if you missed a couple plays or not,
no.
or the steps. No. But he did it out of love. He was a great teammate.
Sure.
And I started laughing because you talk about that tackle where the tackle's basically running off to try to block for the running back, get behind him. I remember this sticks with me too because this was on film. And Coach, I used to watch this with my brother, and I remember you chewed me out because it was scrimmage against Hope County, and you put me in there for that tackle. And I was used to playing guard for the most part, and I didn't know that I was supposed to be pulling.
Yeah.
But when I realized, I'm supposed to be pulling, it was kind of too late. And the defensive end or outside linebacker made the tackle for a loss, and he was like, "God dang it!"
Well, I appreciate you covering up my cursing because I'm sure I swore. That was a really talented Hope County team, and when we started sticking it to them, they wanted to fight.
Yeah, we actually fought at the end of the game, at the end of the scrimmage. A big old brawl happened, and I was like, man. And you lit into us, but you were proud of us because we didn't back down, but you lit into us.
No, man, I was right in their face. I was right. Don't you swing at him. I didn't know. I thought if you got thrown out of the scrimmage, you couldn't play the next week. I found out, the scrimmage didn't have any difference. I'd have let y'all go on and beat the hell out of Hope County.
I wish you would have. There was a couple guys that were dirty. They kept pushing us like beyond the whistle and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Well, we didn't play that way. No. I always talk to you guys about playing with honor.
Yes.
And so when people started doing that, it pissed me off. And I'd tell them and their coach about it. And the coach said, "You can't talk to my kid." I said, "Man, I can talk to anybody I want to." What are you talking about here?
For real. I got some more mailbag questions. This one comes from Brandon. He says, "What does Coach Stone like to do on his downtime?"
Watch college football. I'm a New York Yankee fan. I'll usually my downtime during the fall, I try to catch a middle school game or a rec game on at least one on Wednesday or Saturday. But most of the time, I'm a football junkie. I'll watch it all afternoon Friday. I'll watch it all day Sunday, and just see what they're doing and try to learn from it and the challenges of the game and things like that. So it's pretty simple for my wife. She's never worried about me fooling around. I'm either at the weight room or I'm on the field doing something, or I'm in here in my chair watching football. And, I'm a Carolina graduate, so I enjoy college basketball. College football right now is my favorite game just to watch. I love to watch the pro guys, but that enthusiasm and the life in a college game, and it kind of relates between college and the NFL. People are doing about the same things, and when you go down to smaller colleges, you'll see some guys do some things that can really help you because they're having to manufacture wins. Yeah. So I just enjoy watching, especially offensively. I'm always looking for a new wrinkle. Somebody ask you about the trick play. My thing as an offensive coordinator / game planner is I'm always going to have something in the bank that you haven't seen.
Yes.
And, we're not going to be dead in the water. That's why we practice so hard and did so many things. And I tell you guys that sometimes, this might not be working, but we're not going to be dead in the water. We're going to change gears. So,
I remember that. Definitely.
You start things and you stick with them.
And it's funny you say the weight room. Another mailbag question. This comes from Thomas. He says, "Coach, you're in amazing shape at your age. What is your diet and workout plan?"
Well, I've had both hips replaced, so I can't run anymore and I can't squat anymore. Right now, first of all, I learned to eat different. I eat raw vegetables at every meal. I drink a lot of water when I get up in the morning. My one vice left is I love cold Pepsi. Oh God. But other than that, right now, in fact, before I got on here with you, I did today's workout. I walked 2 miles. There's about a half-mile hill on the ran. I stopped and did sets of 50 push-ups 3 times. So that's what I'm doing now. I used to lift with you guys and do all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then when I was at Byrd, you guys were so strong, I held y'all back if you lifted with me. Yeah. So I started doing it on my own. But that's it. I've tried to eat better, and I just make sure I exercise every day. You know, I've been surprised how effective walking can be. And like I said, with my hips, I used to love, until I was 46, I could play basketball with everybody and go out and be scout team quarterback for football. So I really had to learn a different style of coaching when I started getting fake hips and things like that. Because when you played, I couldn't do things great, but I could pretty well show you everything I wanted you to do. Now I just have to say, now, if I had a real hip, this is what this would look like. But, you know, man. Again, but that's it. Just, oh, geez. And the other thing is if I get between 235 and 240, I get really scared and sound the alarm bells. So my ideal weight is 218 to 222. I've gotten down lower than that, but I felt weak. I didn't feel good. So, you know, right now I'm probably about 10 pounds heavy because we're not doing football every day, and that helps keep it off. But shoot, man, I'm having too much fun. I want to get in good shape and see how long God will let me stay down here.
Many years. I pray for that. I got a question from Tyler. Tyler says, Coach, what is your favorite meal?
My favorite meal is steak, medium rare, more medium than rare. I don't like bloody meat. And then, like I told you, I'm going to eat raw broccoli and carrots with it. And what you find out, man, is when you just throw that stuff in, it tastes like the good stuff. It tastes like the meat. So anyway, the other thing that really is probably more important than anything, you know, I grew up in southeastern North Carolina. So my mom believed in sweet tea. Oh, and that tea was so sweet, you know, you could chew it. So while I was at Byrd, I went to half cut, and then went half cut to quarter. And so for the last 5 years, I just drink unsweetened tea all the time. It is calorie neutral. It gives me a little caffeine rush, but there's 0 calories. So there you go, man. Drink tea, go for a walk. If you can, do some push-ups. And I have a stability ball that I sit on to watch TV most of the time. And in between commercials, I'll do some ab work or something like that.
Awesome. Coach, you're still getting it done. That's what I'm talking about. I got another question. This one is from Nikki. She says, as a coach, she said, what is the worst thing that you can do to a team?
Worst thing you can do to them as a team is bitch them out after they've lost a tough game. You know, we'll talk about this. We'll watch film tomorrow. We're not going to go through this right now, you know, because, I mean, you know, what I've always had a 24-hour rule. If you're pissed and I'm pissed, you go home and sleep. I'll go home and sleep. I'll talk to your parents, and we'll decide what's best for you, what's best for the young man. It's not what's best for the coach, okay? That's not why God put us here. It's what's best for the young man and how you can take that, like I told you, and include him in your program and make him productive and feel like part of it. The family thing is the most important part of it. And just like any family, when there's a lot of trouble and you're in a lot of stress, there'll be a lot of bickering and backfighting. And that's when your leadership will be tested. You know, I had 1, 2, and 8 team. And this past year, we were 4 and 7. We started off 0 and 5. I had 6 quarterbacks get hurt. Well, we went 4 and 2 in the league to finish seconds. First time they'd done that here. So I'm thinking, dang, what a lousy year. But my quarterback broke his collarbone in the dang first scrimmage. And, man, so the one game he got to play for us this year, he was 18 for 22, and we upset Freedom. And he broke the same dang collarbone. And so then there were a couple of kids that had been working at it, and I watched one night, and I said, "You're driving me insane." He'd thrown for 180 yards, and I said, "You're fired." So I found the corner that could throw the ball a little bit, but he was real quick. So he quarterbacked the last 3 games, and we won 2 out of 3. And awesome. You know, there are different ways to get it done. Like you said, no, this is something that would be big for people that watched me grow up. Is my teams have thrown more than they have rushed for in the last 5 years, and the previous 35 years of my career, you never would have said that. So it really started when you were there. We started we'd throw it as much as we'd run it. You know, we were 50-50 there because of our power. Since I left the Byrd situation, I've had offensive lines that left something to be desired. They were good kids. They played hard. They were just too little. You know, you can bust your butt, but 150 is not going to block 280. I mean, you might cut him, make him fall down one, but, you know. So,
get their way a little bit.
yeah. Run over slowly, I think, is the term people use. But at any rate, I think the worst thing you can do to a kid, a team, is after they have lost and disappointment is at its heart. That's when you need to step in and say, "Okay, guys. Okay, first of all, I'll point out the errors I made. That's the first thing I do in film on Monday. Here are the coaching errors that I thought. Okay." And these are errors that I thought that you guys made by either lack of preparation or lack of focus. But I never blame a kid for losing a game. If somebody loses it, it's me. Coach loses them, you guys win them. And I think that's the thing. You just can't take a team's heart and soul. You got to keep that intact. And when they've been embarrassed and beaten, especially at home, they're very vulnerable. And, you know, if you want to push them and get a reaction, there's always going to be an emotional kid or two that'll react back, and then that ruins everything. So just be calm and kind to your team after we play. Tell them, go home, enjoy the weekend. We have our prayer. I'll see you Monday. If we've lost, bring your lunchbox because we might be here a while. But,
yeah,
you know, we'll get this fixed. We'll figure it out together. But
I don't know if you remember this, Coach. This is back in 2012, I believe, when we lost our homecoming game. We lost to Pine Forest, and man, then that tension was crazy. It was I didn't think we was gonna break apart as a team, but it got close. I mean, we were blaming each other, and you missed your man, and you can't block, you can't cover, and you didn't ever blame us at all. You just said, "Hey, you know, be here Saturday morning." About, I think it was like 9 o'clock. He was like, "We're gonna watch some film, get some biscuits," and you know, we broke down everything. And next week we're gonna be back and kick some ass. So there you go. You know, that's right. I think we were tighter then than after that.
Right, Alvin. I'll tell you, that Pine Forest team, the year before we'd beat them 56-0, so they were hard to take seriously. But they had 2 NFL guys on that team.
Yep.
Harold Landry was a first-round draft choice last year. So,
yep.
I mean, the other thing about that Pine Forest loss that night is Breon, God bless him, was trying to play with me, and I should have sat him, but he'd been 13-1 the year before, and I loved the kid, and I loved the way he competed, and I really believed in him, and not many other people did. And so, you know, I didn't pull him and bench him, and I should have, looking back on it, because he just, you know, he couldn't do it anymore. He was trying. And, you know, Elijah Bulger, he was so immature, he drove me nuts. He was the best pure quarterback. He's the best quarterback to run my system that I've ever had, period. His senior year, until he broke his finger, we were unstoppable. And it was the pinky finger on his left hand. I have been in 4 schools since I left Byrd, and every one of them let a guy play in a cast with a broken arm and all kinds of stuff. And I couldn't get him cleared for a dang broken pinky. It drove me insane. I told the doctor after the Westover game, I said, "How long?" "Oh, he's out for the season." I said, "How long will it take to heal?" I said, "Because we're probably going to play another 6 or 7 weeks." And he said, "What?" I said, this team will play another 6 or 7 weeks. So he said, well, you know, maybe Thanksgiving. And we made it to Thanksgiving. They still wouldn't clear him. But, you know, let's face it, watching Hurtado doing all that miracle stuff he did that year was unbelievable.
God bless him, too. I mean, I remember he used to call him and I think it was Man, you call them the dynamic midgets because the things that they can do, as soon as you just give them a little bit of space, they just need this much. And they're gone 75 yards or beyond. Oh, man, God bless him and God bless Breon.
Hurtado. Hurtado's no longer with us. Yeah. And his 2-year-old son got shot last week. It's really, just thinking about him breaks my heart. Man. I feel like they're related. Nobody else does. But anyway, you know, that year when we lost that game, we were still having a good season. But if you lose inside of Fayetteville, that hurts worse. Yeah. You know, if you remember back, we'd start the season with those 4A teams. We whipped every one of them's ass. And then we would go to Overhills and wouldn't have a lick of respect for them and be lucky to get out of there alive. Yeah. and the difference is we weren't playing a team inside the county. I mean, it's just different. In Cumberland County, that you know, you guys kind of stick with your areas in rec ball and junior high. So the rivalries are pretty intense. It's nothing like it is here, though. Around Hickory, there are 8 schools within 20 minutes of us. And Hickory High School was opened in 1913. They've been playing football since 1923, and they have every record you could possibly want. So the history is here. We're in a conference with McDowell and Watauga, and they're the only 2 teams that aren't around us here. And, you know, I can play Bandy's and get 7,000 people in the stands. I could play Watauga in the 3rd round of the playoffs, and these people here will say, who? Where are they from? It's just it's these intersectional rivalries that have been around forever. Man, they're a lot of fun. I mean, there's just a lot of intensity in the stadium, and it means more to the kids. And, you know, you saw that kid across from you in church, or you played rec ball with him last year. Yeah. You know, those are the things that really kind of make life rich to me.
Amen. I got a couple more mailbag questions. A few more actually. This one comes from Austin. He says, at what moment in your life did you realize you wanted to coach football?
It was probably the minute that Carolina told me I wasn't good enough to play there. I loved the sport and I loved the game, and they told me I wasn't good enough to play anymore, so I still wanted to do it. So coaching was kind of the way. But in all honesty, if you ask my high school coaches, they told you we thought he would be a coach. Just, I don't know what I did as a teenager coming up, or my leadership skills in school. I was student body president. And my school was 98% minority, so I got out the minority vote. It was pretty funny because before integration, the country kids were the outliers, you know? So, you know, those kids had been in town. They'd been in the pool all summer. I'd been in the backfield working. So when school integrated, I went from a kid nobody knew to all of a sudden I was class president, because all those kids from the surrounding area knew me from working, or, you know, it was just it's just my cup of tea, I guess, my type of atmosphere. But I've been fortunate. My coaches gave me a lot of responsibility. My father gave me a lot of responsibility. I had a 6-ton truck and a crew of 8 when I was 13, and I had certain jobs to do, or the entire operation would stop. And that was probably the year I learned everything I needed to know about coaching. I had a 75-year-old lady helping me. I had an 8-year-old that would bite me every time I turned my back. I had a cousin that got messed up in the Army, and I had to worry about him peeing in the truck when he slept in there at night. I mean, my dad's got 140 acres of tobacco. We got 60 people working, and if we don't do our job, the entire operation comes to a stop. So that was me at 13, driving around like I was a grown man. And the older ladies in the area told the police, and they'd set roadblocks trying to get me. So I drove down canal beds and and I probably tore every door and window off every farm building we had because I was 13. My God. But all those things kind of brought me into it and led me that way. And it was after my sophomore year at North Carolina. I was a poli-sci major. I was going to be a lawyer. I was rolling. I'm full of shit. I can be a lawyer. And they came in and they said, it's time for us to pick a major. You can't register for classes your junior year till you pick a major. Mm-hmm. And I thought about it for about 45 seconds, and I wanted to coach. And that was the deciding deal right there, where I put my name on the dotted line. But I think the mixture of the drink had been in place since I was a young boy. So
awesome. Thanks. That's great advice and a great story too, Coach. I got this one. This one's from Kyle. He says, do you have any aspirations to ever write a book if you haven't written one already?
We've thought about it, and several people have suggested it to me. And I have some writers who are close friends that could put pen to paper and make me look stupid. So, I don't honestly. You see me here. I still want to coach. I'm looking forward. We're having a good time looking back today. But God willing, I'm not through yet. So I hope there's a couple more chapters to put in the book. But yeah, we could write one that would be pretty interesting if we put everything together. You start down in Robeson County and end up Hickory. There's a lot of miles on the road. So
that's true. Then this one comes from Jill. All right. This is back in 2010. She said a controversial decision was made by Cumberland County school system to suspend you for your final game because Douglas Byrd scored 75 points to 7 against Southern Lee. I was extremely pissed about that and went on high school OTA and voted on their poll board that this was BS and comment on it, and half of the site agreed. It says, looking back, though, 10 years later, do you think that was the right decision that they made, and how do you feel about the no mercy rule?
Can I tell you what I'm doing if I was on the other side of that?
Yeah, sure.
When I was younger, I got beat to death. Mm-hmm. And I was trailing in the 50s one night, and the guy felt sorry for me, and he punted on first down. I punted it right back to him. And I told him, I said, my guys play for 48, and we play hard for 48, and we don't care what the scoreboard says. And that's how I got in that trouble. With the real deal with Southern Lee, I had 2 receivers that had never caught a pass in their career. They wouldn't work out in the off season, so I did let them join the team, but I wouldn't use them. You know how we were there. Oh, yeah. And so they were both seniors, so I threw each one of them a pass in the third quarter. And that was it. The people who suspended me were not the state association. It was Cumberland County Schools. Mm-hmm. So Leon Mack was the athletic director. And my principal came to me on Monday and started asking me about the game. And we had 55 points at halftime. I just told him, I said, look, boss, I said, I could have thrown up in the middle of the field and would have turned to gold. I said, everything we did and I said, the last 3 touchdowns were scored by freshmen who played JV last night. And so he was fine with it. But the powers that be, they had kicked out some lady from 71st, Tracy whatever, for scoring too many points. And what they pointed to me was that the article said that the 76 points were a Douglas Byrd scoring record. I said, that's true, isn't it? And they said, yes. Were you going for the record? I said, I don't know what the dang record is. I said, we probably said it in the first half, but I don't really know. I said, my kids play hard for 48. We practice very hard. My second unit deserves a chance to go out there and do everything that the first unit could do with practice-wise. The Southern Lee coach had no problem with it. Tom Paris, because he'd been at Richmond and beaten me 55-6 when I was at Lumberton. I mean, you know, sometimes happened. We shook hands and we went on with it. He had nothing to do with it. It was self-inflicted by the bosses in the white building down there in Cumberland County. But by that time, first thing they did was it really got under my skin. When Michael was in the 7th grade, they came to me and they said he can't ball boy anymore. I said, he's been ball boying since he was 5 years old. And they said, well, we're going to make a rule. You got to be in high school to be on the sideline.
Wow.
Yeah, that one burned me hard. And it's the same year. So we played in Harnett County, and I knew that coach well. And I said, do y'all have a rule? And nobody does. So Mikey ball boyed that night like he always did. Well, they called me in Monday morning. What did we tell you about that? You said he couldn't ball boy here. I said, we were on the road. I asked the other coach. He gave us permission. Okay. But it was Mr. Mack. And I said, there's no rule like this anywhere in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I said, aren't you on the board? And he said, yes, I am. I said, here's what I'll do, Mr. Mack. The next meeting y'all have, you propose that rule. And if it passes, I'll shake your hand. He went and introduced the rule, and it got 0 votes. But, you know, you've seen ball boys anywhere from 6 to 17. Oh, yeah. But, you know, there's a couple of schools in Fayetteville that have some guys that they've had around for a long time, and they're grown men who are still ball boying. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, Micah was a celebrity with officials. I mean, they bring him. They loved him. Yeah. The only time I ever had to get on him was that night he blew the whistle and tried to spot the game in a JV game. And I said, whoa, dude.
I remember that, actually. That's what I remember. Oh, man. Good time.
It's been great to talk to you, man. I've enjoyed it.
Definitely. Me too, Coach.
You got any more questions in there?
Yeah, we got 5 more, but if you want to answer all 5 or if you just want to answer just a couple more, it's up to you.
Hit me with all 5. You can edit it however you want. You can use it another time or whatever.
All right. This one comes from Blake. He says, oh, dang, I just lost it. I have to edit that out. All right, this one, he said, okay. This came from Blake. He said, when Coach Tripp came to you and said that he wanted to start coaching and following your footsteps, how did you approach that? Did you show him the ins or outs, or did you not want him to take that path? Did you want him to pursue something else?
My wife wanted him to pursue something else because of that financial hardships involved in coaching. I never did anything except pick him up and take him with me. And I started doing that when he was 3 years old. So he grew up around it. And, you know, I remember one day in particular when I was still coaching baseball, he went home as a 3-year-old and showed his mom a perfect hook slide. Well, I didn't take him out there and show him the slide. He just watched everybody else. You know, when he got to high school, he could snap, punt, or hold. And I said, well, it's kind of hard to do all 3 of those at the same time. But I never showed him any of that. I just took him and let him see the game, and he fell in love with it. Like I said, when I took the Purnell Swett job, I knew that he wanted to coach. And I thought that was my opportunity to give him a fast-tracked opportunity like I had as a 24-year-old. So, you know, but what I did with him, I said, all right, Tripp, I'm a Bud Foster, Virginia Tech, 4'6" guy. We want a lot of pressure. And that's all I told him. I said, good luck. So, you know, I put a lot on him. I expected a lot of him. He's not a perfect child. None of us are. But when it came to football, he was. When he was a football player for me, he was on time, ready to go, pushing his teammates, doing everything that you could hope a kid would do. And he was captain of the team his senior year. And the only trouble we have ever had was his senior year. he got in the habit of changing all the plays I sent in.
Oh.
Trip could walk up to the line of scrimmage and see what was there and call the play. Mm-hmm. Well, occasionally in practice, you know, he would say something to me like a kid would say to you, that ain't gonna work, you know, and so I'd get in his face and start ragging at him, and then his O-line would say, shut up, don't piss him off.
Oh,
so there you go. But that Tripp's proved his mettle without being with his dad. He went to Mallard Creek, and he was a DC there for 4 years and won a state title, and he was a DC at Butler for a year after he left me, and they had the best season they've ever had. And he has had several head coaching opportunities, and he's been real smart. He hadn't taken a crummy job. So, awesome. You know, I took some crummy ones, and by the grace of God, I made them really good, and that helped me a lot. And I learned how to do it. But it's hard work, and it's a struggle to turn one around and get it going. Mm-hmm. But what he has done is he's been with some other people who have taught him base defense and the value of base and the value of being patient. Mm-hmm. You know, I had him. I said, I want the ball back now. I don't care if they score. You either get it, take it away, or let them score. Yeah. So he is a really much superior coach than he was when he was with us there or when he ever worked for me. He's become more of a student of the game. When he was at Mallard Creek, he didn't have a position to coach. He was just a defensive coordinator, you know. So he's at Butler now. The Mallard Creek head coach, Coach P, went to Alpharetta, Georgia. And so I was scared Tripp was going to go with him. Mm-hmm. And Tripp has 2 children. He's got an 8-year-old daughter, and I love her as much as I do Mikey. So the thought of her leaving is kind of hurt my heart. But his wife got a great IT job, and they're real happy. They just bought their first house in the Concord area. Awesome. And I'm really proud of what Tripp has done as a coach. And he's a heck of a ball coach, and he's gotten a really good reputation. He's been real big in VTO and in combines and things like that. And we started that when we were at Byrd. Yep. You know, those people got to a point where they would call Coach Kuzan and Tripp and say, look, we don't have many kids here. Bring the Byrd kids. So, you know, we did it. But, hey, those were great times. But seeing Tripp come up, I'm blessed to see. My dad wanted me to be a farmer, and that was the last thing in the world I wanted to do. And so poor fella, he had to watch his son. He never understood. I'd been coaching 15 years, and I'd go see him. Hey, Dad, how you doing? You play ball today, son? I said, Dad, I coach now. He said, same thing. He was a hard-working farmer. He put his hands in the dirt till he was 80 years old. So,
oh man,
he had a If if your labor wasn't hard and miserable, he didn't really think you were working.
All right.
Next question.
Next question. It says, this one comes from Michelle. She said, what is the key ingredients to turning around an unsuccessful football program since you've done it so many times?
Trust. They got to trust you. And you got to earn that trust, and you're going to ask them to risk their reputation and to go up against things that look insurmountable. And they have to trust that you're going to give them the tools to be successful in that thing. So that's what I have noticed. And when I got to Byrd, the first thing I did was I made people quit putting each other down. You know, as teenagers, you're always ragging a guy. Yeah. And I said, we can't have that in here. Why, Coach? I said, y'all can do it away from here if you want, but everything in here's got to be positive. I said, those things you just said about that kid, he laughed, right? I said, I guarantee you it hurt him inside. You know, I guarantee you. I mean, he's in there with 30 kids, and you just made a joke about him, and they all laughed, so he laughed too. But that stuff hurts, and that's how you lose people's trust. And so you know, we talk about writing a book on it. If you want to build a great football team, that's the first thing that has to happen.
It's trust. That's a great answer. All right. Then I got one from Ashley. I guess this is She wants to know, what is Coach Stone's favorite movie or TV show of all time?
My favorite TV show of all time. Big Bang. My favorite movie of all time. I've changed that several times. Right now it's Seabiscuit.
Seabiscuit? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a little horse. That's a little horse that everybody had given up on. And there's a scene in that movie where the trainer is looking to buy the horse for rich dudes. And Seabiscuit has been awful. He ain't done nothing but be lazy and incorrigible. And the horse walks by the trainer, and they look each other in the eye, and the guy says, damn. And they bought that horse. They could see the fire and the competitive nature right there. And then that was neat. I'm also a big fan of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Chief is the great leader in that, and Jack Nicholson's unbelievably funny. And that scene where they all go steal a yacht and they go out fishing and everybody's waiting for them with the police to come in, and they come riding back in that boat, and every one of them's got a fish that would have set a world record in a bass tournament. So that's it. But anyway, those are the shows that are my favorite right now. Now, if we go all time, I'm a big Sanford and Son man. And I think right now, if we could get everybody to sit down and watch All in the Family and Sanford and Son, we could get rid of a lot of these problems that's plaguing society right now, because my generation has already been through it. And I don't want to see it happen again, man. I mean, 1968, this whole country, every city was on fire. I mean, there was flames coming up over the White House. And this vitriol right now is upsetting to me. I'm a man that wants to do what's best for children and do what's best for kids. And right now, you know, everybody is running around with a dang gun, and you know, you get pissed off and you got a gun, people end up getting shot. Too many young kids getting shot. I've lost 5 Byrd kids in the last 2 years, man. It is just crazy. I've lost 3 West Forsyth kids, and it's all the gun violence, and you know, that's just people trying to stake out territory and pretend they're mobsters, and they're really young teenagers and a bunch of washed out 25-year-olds that didn't go to school and get an education, and they need those young kids to do the dirty work. So if they get arrested, it won't go on their record. You know, I hate to see where we are right now, and I hope the Lord lets me stay here long enough, and I hope we can get this thing turned around and settled down. I mean, good Lord have mercy. People walking around with guns. You gonna fight the dang U.S. Army? I mean, good gracious. But I am Coach Kuzan. He was a sniper in Afghanistan. Did you know that?
Yeah, he couldn't talk to me too much about some of his military background. He would tell me, but he man, he wasn't the one to mess with.
yeah. So when a man like Byron comes to you and he talks about that, you know, you got the utmost respect for him, and he believes strongly. I don't know, you know, people talk about their rights, Second Amendment rights, right to everything, but we both know that your right as a human being stops when it starts infringing upon mine, and vice versa. So we got to get along better, man. We just got to get along better. This is nuts.
Amen. Praying that we can all just get along.
That's again, that's where people like me in a leadership position have to step up and show young men. And I've never been political with my team per se. Now, when they get older, I'll discuss it with them, and a lot of them don't agree with what I like, because I'm a liberal progressive, and that upsets a lot of people. So I'm sorry if it does. It's just me. I don't feel bad if you're a rock hard conservative or you're a centrist. Your opinion is equally as valuable as mine, and probably more so. But at the same time, there's nothing you can say that's going to change me and what I believe and how I think things should be. And my dad was the kindest, most patient man I've ever known. So he's my example, and he's what I try to live up to every day. And it's a pretty high bar, but it really keeps me grounded, and it keeps me knowing that being kind to others is what we are put here on. It's the best thing we can do for humanity. Just be kind to others. Everybody's got something they're worried about. Everybody's got something that's troubling them. You don't need to add to it. Just be kind.
Yes. That's great. That's great, Coach. Thank you. A lot of people need to hear that. Definitely. If we spread more kindness, I think the world would be a better place. I truly believe that in my heart. And that's why I strive to show nothing but love, respect, kindness. You'll catch me saying brother or bro and sir more than any cuss word or anything like that, because I was always taught be respectful and be kind.
Well, if you know it, you know me. I always said yes, sir, to you guys.
Yep.
And the reason I did that is because I had a mama that was 5'2", and if I didn't say sir or ma'am, I was going to get hit right here by 2 fingers, and it would make your head go. Yes. What did you say, ma'am? Yes, ma'am.
Shout out to Mama Stone.
Yeah, Mama Stone, boy. Yeah. She was, my dad was a picture of kindness and patience. She had a short fuse.
I can relate that to my mom.
Yeah.
She watches that. I'm sorry, Mom.
No. Mom's gone, but she became, I don't know. Part of her problem is she was out there farming with my dad, and we owned a country store. So she worked 6.5 days a week, and I never had a canned vegetable. I went to college. She put everything up, fresh peas and corn every dang day of the year. She had 365 packs in there. And so probably she was just a little tired.
Okay, Coach. This question comes from Chris. He says, when you were playing football, what was your position?
I played quarterback, and I played free safety. I only got to play football 3 years. I had a wreck before my freshman year. My mom didn't want me to play, so she got the doctor to not let me play. And then my sophomore year, I was the JV quarterback. At junior year, I played safety because the other guy was a 3-year starter. And then finally, my senior year, I got to start at quarterback. And I thought I was figuring things out about the 9th or 10th game. So, I like to think, I'll tell any quarterback, you're lucky. You're playing in my system. It's the most quarterback-friendly system known to man, and you've got a chance to do a lot of great things. Really, Alvin, something I haven't talked to you about is the reason I was an I coach for 20 years. Really? But when I took over these programs that we had to rebuild, I knew that if I could get 5 or 7 people touching the ball instead of 1 or 2, that we could get a team feeling better. And it's worked everywhere I've been. You're going to play offense. I don't care where you are, unless you're between the tackles, you're going to get the ball some. You're going to have some opportunity. Our quarterback, his job is to spread the ball equally among those receivers. And, you can only get 5 out legally. But I have figured that if you find a tackle that can throw it, the quarterback can go out too, and you'll have 6. So that's what's coming this year if anybody wants to see it.
A sneak preview for February. I can't wait.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little worried about that snow and ice thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be challenging. Last question. This one comes from Elvin. How does it feel to be the coolest coach in the world? It is. It's hard to live up to. You do it so well. You do it easy.
Well, like I told you, I'm all about my environment and my background, and a lot of people got me to this point. And it's, again, people think I'm cool because I'm kind. I no matter what happened yesterday, if you come back to me the next day, we'll start over and over, and they're going to see the same Coach Stone. And if you beat me, I want to be the same guy I was the year before when I beat you. You know, I want to show my kids, I want to show my young men the example of accepting defeat and moving on. You know, but all these things are just personal beliefs. There are some people who would tell you I'm not the coolest guy in the world, of course, but most of them feel that way about me.
They got it wrong. They got it wrong. I'm telling you, you're the coolest coach I've ever got to play for, and I played for only about 3. But I have to say, you was my favorite. Your life lessons and values you taught me as a young man, I still use to this day. And I'm in leadership role. I've been in leadership role literally since I left Byrd when I went to Palm Forest. I've been doing a lot of community work, work with my church, work at my job, from managing parties to where I'm at now in mowing. I mean, I'm constant leadership role, and I give that all, thanks to you. And of course, there's some others that, deserve the credit.
Oh, sure.
You instilled that as a young man when I was about 15 years old. And, still to this day, I hope I can, you say your dad, he set the bar high for you, and you set the bar high for me. And I just try to live life, treat people right, treat people kind. Coach, I can't thank you enough for just taking the time out your day to talk to me, spread this out, helping the show out. I mean, you're an amazing man, and I wish and pray that I'm half the man you are.
Well, I guarantee you're that already, and probably more so. And I really enjoyed this opportunity to talk to you and all my friends back in southeastern North Carolina. A couple of those guys that sent you questions were South Rob boys, and you got a little taste from everywhere there, down from the 80s and 90s. But if each young man can walk away from me and learn half of what you just explained, I feel like I'm doing my job. And that's what I'm doing. I think you just thanked me for a world of things that made me feel absolutely wonderful inside. On the outside, I would tell you and your mother, that's my job. That's what I am supposed to do. So I'm glad that I succeeded in your situation. And I'm just thankful for all the great people that have been in my life and gotten me to this point. I'm a coach. I hadn't scored a touchdown since 1972. I mean, I just had a lot of fine young men play for me. And I've been blessed to be able to get along with people and bring groups of people together, and all those things have made me at least look successful. So anyway, thank you so much for this chance, and I hope to be on with you again sometime. And anytime I can do anything to help you or any of my Stone Age Eagles, I'll be right there.
Thank you, Coach. Again, thank you so much. You have a great day, great season when it starts up in February. Try to stay warm as much as possible. It's going to get cold up in there in the Hickory. But
well, I'm going to tell you, man, if that titanium inside my hip gets cold, I'm in trouble.
Coach, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Coach. Much love.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Take care, man.